Now, I know the internet is absolutely full, and I mean absolutely full, of the can you beat Elden Ring style videos. I don't know why, but for some reason I got the weirdest epiphany, is that even the right word?
Nope.
But the weirdest thought to do a video called, Can You Beat Elden Ring with a Stick? Why do I want to use a freaking stick? I have no, and I mean I have no idea why. I have 5 rules, I guess, that I'm going to be having in play, because honestly, I'm recording this intro and editing the video prematurely before finishing the run, because regardless, I'm recording this on the 22nd. The run itself is going to be uploaded on the 26th, and the only way that that's even going to happen is if the 5th rule, well, not if, but you know, let me just get to the rule. I'm talking way too much. Okay, so the first rule is only club weapons are allowed, which is only the regular club, the large club, the spiked club, and the curved club. I'm gonna be honest with you, the large club and the spiked club are really the only ones that get used, but we don't talk about that. Secondly, my Ash of War is allowed to be changed, because considering I'm not the best at the game, I need some form of handicap, because I'm not that good at the game at all. I need help. Third rule is holdable items may be used. By holdable items, I mean things like greases, I mean things like exalted flesh, I mean things like, I believe it's like the crab meat that gives you defense, you know, shit like that. Because, once again, I need a handicap. I'm saying, can I beat Elden Ring with only a stick? I just plan on beating people down with a stick. That doesn't mean I'm not going to enhance myself. The one thing I will say, though, is I'm not going to use any type of incantations or any type of thing like that, because I feel like that kind of defeats the purpose, kind of. Maybe not. Honestly, I should have, but look, in hindsight, it is what it is. Fourth rule, or not even rule, but the 4th setting that I'm putting in place is I must kill 12 out of the 15 remembrance bosses. Reason why I'm saying 12 out of the 15 is because I am not going to be fighting Mohg, the Lich Dragon, or Estelle, because I'm not doing fucking Ronnie's questline. It's not happening. I don't feel like it. Straight like that. I don't want to do it. And secondly, I don't even know where Mohg's at, because in my first playthrough I never fought Mohg, so it is what it is. Alright? And then lastly, which is a rule I want to call the ultimate handicap, okay? Basically, what this rule consists of is if I get stuck at a boss to the point where I do not believe I can complete the run and I won't be able to get it out by Sunday, I'm allowed to use a Shadow Clone and I don't want to hear shit about it. Okay, so basically where this run began, we started to create our character. The reason why I made my character look like Mikasa is because I intend on doing a second Elden Ring video after this one, because obviously I still want to continue to pump out Elden Ring content, and in the process of recording this video I've kind of learned now a lot more things to do in terms of doing a proper Elden Ring run, and I've also learned that it's probably a better idea to, you know, like do the whole run in one sitting rather than break it up, because it really fucks up how good you are at the game, or how bad you are in my case. But we made Mikasa because, you know, eventually a Mikasa video is going to come out. But that's way down the line. We ain't worried about that. First thing we did when we jumped in the world, you know, we died. We don't talk about that part. And then we kind of killed Rick. It was an experience to say, you know. It's not really an experience, bro. Rick's kind of cheeks, but we don't talk about Rick. We enjoy his company around here. Ain't that right, Rick? I haven't fought you so long. Okay, hold on, bro. I feel a smidget bit rusty. Me. Hold on. Hey, hold on, Chief. Hey, hold on, Chief. Hey, hold that. Oh man, you're dead. That sucks. You shouldn't die so easily. After we ended up killing Rick, we kind of went down and grabbed the large club, even though I didn't plan on using it this early, but later on in the run, you do see that obviously the large club is far more optimal than the regular one, but at the very least, I wanted to at least use the regular club for something. So I somehow ended up in a cave. This is a cave I actually never even found on my first run, but I've seen the boss itself. So we went in and we beat the crap out of a stone pussy. Yeah. Yeah, I just said that. We ended up putting on a shirt after we, you know, talked to a magical spiritual lady. You know, she's fucking amazing. Ronnie, we love you. And then after we saw Ronnie, you know what I'm saying? We revisited I don't even know what to call it. A beast man? I mean, I don't feel right calling him a beast man, but we killed the 𝙈𝙗𝙧𝙚. I don't remember how to say that thing's name, and like post-commentating while not actually having the video in front of you for the prologue part is so weird. Yo, how do you YouTubers post-com? And then after we fought, the first boss that I believe I fought in my first run was that boss actually. Am I right? Editing Hoodie is going to answer that question for me. And then lastly, we revisited the most famous diss track of all time. Fuck that horse, I'm tired of his shit. I'm sick of motherfucking straight beating my ass. Then we run into this dumb ass spirit and a fucking dragon, bro. I don't want it. Yeah, y'all know the song. We're not worried about the other parts, but we revisited the Tree Sentinel, and ultimately we ended up getting the dub after dying. He's dead. Goodbye, buddy. Goodbye, buddy. Just gotta control the space, man. Just gotta control the space, man. A lot, but the best part about that is in fighting the Tree Sentinel, that was the first moment in the entire run that I actually felt like I got a little better, right? And then later on down the run, that kind of dies. And by later on down the run, I mean that fucking dies as soon, and I mean as soon as we get to market. Like, no hesitation. It literally was dead as soon as we got to market, because I was slapped in the face with the harsh reality of the fact that I just beat the game not too long ago. And going from fighting bosses like Melania and Radagon and the Elden Beast to fighting Margit, I had no idea how to adjust to how slowly he was attacking me. And it ultimately became a problem for a bit, but I ended up beating the boss. Margit wasn't too bad, but at the same time, he was bad enough. If that makes any sense. Nothing special, you know what I'm saying? Damn, bro, we're kind of flying through the beginning of this run. I'm not gonna lie to you, am I? Oh, I also failed to mention that in the in beating Margit, if I'm not mistaken, I decided to change to the large club because ultimately I realized that the regular club is gonna be far from obsolete when it comes to beating bosses. Once again, I'm not a fucking pro. Leave me alone. Leave me alone. After beating Margit, we revisited another portion of the most greatest diss track of all time. Y'all gonna hear the clip. Y'all gonna hear it. Yeah, he kind of killed us a few times. And so I said, fuck this shit, I'm out. We don't talk about that part. We made our way to an amazing friend, you know what I'm saying? We killed a few people, went into a room, got a little bit more clothes. Nothing special, honestly. Like, the beginning of Elden Ring is not necessarily that, you know, impactful, need I say. I tried to grind a little bit to get this little headwear or armor piece that these enemies hold, because I kind of for a second wanted to use it or think about using it when it comes to my Mikasa playthrough. But when it comes to that, I think I'm gonna hold off on doing all of those things. So honestly, I just left it alone. And honestly, like, grinding is really a pain. Like, you're gonna understand when I tell you how long the grind took to get the Spike Club. But we're not going to talk about that until we get to that portion. Moving on. We ran into another grafted Scion. I never killed this in my first playthrough, so I died to him, of course. But we ended up killing the grafted Scion, which was an accomplishment on my end. I love to see it. Kind of got jumped. We don't talk about how I got jumped, but yeah, we kind of got jumped and then got jumped a little more. How the fuck? After getting jumped, we ran into Nefeli, who is a character that I never met in my first playthrough, I'm gonna be mentioning how a lot of times in my first playthrough I missed so much, but I never ran into Nepheli, so I never knew that you had the opportunity to summon somebody when it came to the Godric fight. Note, I didn't summon it, or I didn't summon Nepheli here. I probably should have, but considering Godric is probably one of the easier remembrance bosses, I really thought I could do this by myself, and ultimately we did. It didn't take us too many tries, considering I am post-comming and not actually having the proper video in front of me. I don't know how many tries it did take me, but I'm probably gonna have a count at the top of the screen on how many tries it actually takes me to kill these freaking remembrance bosses, because considering I'm killing 12 out of 15, and I think out of the 12, literally I've never fought 2? I don't know. After Godric, not too much went on, just a lot more exploration. We kind of continued to try to find like specific types of armor to be able to have. I went to go activate his Great Rune, which ultimately doesn't really matter if I don't have a rune arc activated, so I mean, it's kind of pointless. We revisited the spirit again, finally got our run back, you know, because it needed to be done. I can't just go out like nothing, obviously. Continue to do a little bit more exploration, killed Escanor's baby. We killed the actual Bloodhound, because I never even ran into the actual Bloodhound in my actual playthrough. All I did was fight the Evergold version, and then came up to a random shack, which I have no idea what the point of this shack was. Somebody please tell me that in the comment section below. Ran into this little, fuck. I'm not gonna lie to you, some of my like random stutter moments, I'm gonna leave them in because they're funny, but we ran into the academy section where you fight like the weird little fish aliens, and I never realized this thing was holding the curved club until later. No, obviously we're gonna go back and grind for the stuff, but I never realized it until then. So we got what we needed to get. We ran past the magical dragon. I believe it's the glintstone dragon, because I didn't feel like fighting him to get the key, to start to make my way to Renala and Red Wolf. We, you know, ran through the place, kind of got a little sentimental because I saw my marionettes. I missed the homies, man. I really missed the homies. And then I got into a fight with a dog. No, this fight with the dog did not go too well for me, but ultimately at the end of the day we beat the dog because the dog was just not ready for these hands, and I absolutely played the pause, or not played, hit. I beat the dog on the head with a fucking stick. It's as simple as that. And then I met a turtle. Yeah, I met a fucking turtle that can't do shit for me in this fucking run. Here was the first portion where the run got to the point where I realized that with certain remembrance bosses, I don't know if it's just me or if it's the attack speed or the way that the club can actually be used, but I found out the club is actually pretty fucking slow. Like, I mean, like slower than Radon's greatsword type slow, but I could just be wrong. I could just be bugging, but I could be wrong. But when I was fighting Renala, I almost felt like I wasn't moving as fast as I possibly could when it came to the jump attacks, because it's almost like whenever I get into certain jump attacks, I'm so vulnerable once the jump attack is let out, and there's literally no chance to actually properly recover to it. So you get put in a situation where it's almost like you attack and you literally don't have a moment of being safe, right? And in me saying that, that's going to be something that I'm pretty sure I'm going to revisit throughout the entirety of this playthrough, because where I'm at, with me recording this right now, I'm currently fighting Morgott. And one of the biggest issues with the fight that I'm currently in, which obviously by the time this is uploaded, we've beat him, or he might have gotten jumped, I don't know. But one of the biggest issues is whenever I attack him, I feel like if I'm doing a jump attack, I'm never safe, because Morgott throws out so many different attacks. It's like, what the hell do you do, right? It's really a what the hell do you do type situation. But ultimately, we end up killing Renala. Renala she kind of blows, but I mean, it is what it is. We went to go beat up on the dragon. Now, note, I won't lie to y'all, and I'll be brutally honest with this part, is when it came to killing the sleeping dragon, I started to beat him with the club. I promise you, I started with the club, but it was taking so long, so I just kind of pulled out claws. You can consider it cheating. You can consider it cheating. It doesn't matter. I could have used the club, but it would have just taken me like an hour. Leave me alone. Okay, after that, there wasn't too much that went on. After that, that was when I decided whether or not I was going to go after 𝙨𝙗𝙧𝙚 or after 𝙨𝙗𝙧𝙚. Ultimately, I ended up going after 𝙨𝙗𝙧𝙚 because 𝙨𝙗𝙧𝙚 is kind of cool. I think with these two bosses, it is probably the more, I guess you could say, fun part of the run, because 𝙨𝙗𝙧𝙚 and 𝙨𝙗𝙧𝙚, off the top of my head, are the two gimmick bosses that almost feel extremely hard to do without the gimmick, you know? Oh yeah, I kind of forget. I went to go get the amulets for the 𝙈𝙤 of 𝙤𝙤, that's how you say it. But as I said, we kept making our progress to 𝙨𝙗𝙧𝙚 up until we ultimately got to 𝙨𝙗𝙧𝙚. Now, like, in between there, I kind of killed a shade boss, and yeah, that's really it. Not much really happened on my quest to get to 𝙨𝙗𝙚, but the funny thing is, when I got to 𝙨𝙗𝙚, compared to how bad the 𝙨𝙗𝙚 fight was the first time I did it. Now, no, 𝙨𝙗𝙚's a gimmick boss, so I'm using his gimmick in this fight, which is all of the summons that basically jump him because 𝙨𝙗𝙚's a fucking problem. Surprisingly, it only took me a few tries. If I remember correctly off the top of my head, I could be wrong. Editing Hoodie is going to be the one to answer this at the top once again. I think it took me like 3 tries? It was either 2 or 3 because I don't remember fighting 𝙨𝙗𝙚 that many times. So yeah, that was due, and at this point is where I became depressed because I wanted to try to use a different club, right? So I went to Fort Height and began to farm the demi-humans. Oh my god, when I tell you, farming for a weapon that I have hardly used. Literally my first sitting trying to farm this weapon, I sat for 30 minutes after fighting 𝙨𝙗𝙚. No luck, no weapon, okay? Ended stream, stopped recording, all of that. Came back the next day, decided I'm going to get the smithing stones so I can upgrade my stuff. Went about the process of getting the bell bearing 1, bell bearing 2, so I can upgrade my large club and ultimately upgrade my spike club once I get the spike club. But I hadn't gotten a fucking spike club just yet. Was literally just me trying to get the spike club by itself. Now, when I tell you the first sitting of trying to get the spike club, it was right after I fought 𝙨𝙗𝙚. I sat there for 30 minutes and farmed the exact same demi-human for 30 minutes. No luck at all. Such a piss off. Left, did it again for 28 minutes. No luck. Pissed off. Came back finally, and I did it for, I think it was 13 or 6, it was either 13 or 16 minutes. Finally got the spike club after literally an hour of grinding the same freaking route. It was so depressing. And then I thought to myself, I need to get the curve club too. Found a spot to grind that out. Went to go, it was actually the same spot that I probably showed in the video when I mentioned it, but I went to that spot. I killed that creature maybe about 30 times. It only took me about like 15 minutes or so, but I finally got the curve club. So far the curve club hasn't made the cut, but we ain't gonna talk about that part. At this point, our goal now, or our target now, was 𝙨𝙗𝙧𝙚, but we kind of ran into a demi-human queen. She kind of got slapped over the head with the stick also. Oh yeah, we don't talk about what happened with the tree. I wasn't putting up with this bullshit. We also don't talk about what happened with this spirit. You know, those scissors and me just weren't mixing the day, and you know, we decided to cut our ties, literally. And by cut our ties, I mean my life. We cut my life in half. Okay, but on a better note, right? Now it was time for 𝙨𝙗𝙧𝙚. We arrived at Volcano Manor after we ran past the tree spirit and died to half scissor lady, basically Shell from Akame ga Kill if you watch any anime. And we're finally here. At this point, I decided I was going to try to use the curved clubs, which ultimately didn't really make the cut when I was fighting the bloodhound style creature in the basement, so we went right back to the large club. The curved club will get some play at some point. Maybe. I can't make any promises. But then we encountered a bunch of creatures on the way to 𝙨𝙗𝙧𝙚 that I literally hate. I swear to you, these little fucking serpents. And then this serpent with the goddamn whip were the bane of my existence. And then we ran into freaking 𝙈𝙚. By 𝙈𝙚, 𝙈𝙚 is the godskin noble. If you watched my first playthrough, you would know I hate the godskin noble because I don't know how to fight him. Now, I'm pretty sure the death counter's on the screen somewhere, or whatever it may be. I don't know how many times I got risky. I got greedy and hoped I could just get a fucking random bleed, bro. I really did. Fought this goddamn boss before I killed him because every time I fought the godskin noble and got him low, I died because I got scared and didn't want to just go head up with him. But ultimately we do end up killing him. I kind of might have over exaggerated how many times I fought him, but that's beyond the point. You know, obviously the counter's on the top of the screen, so you can see that much. We went down, continued to make our way to old big boss chieftain 𝙨𝙗𝙧𝙚. And once we got here, this is another gimmick boss, similar to Radon, that I absolutely refuse to fight outside of the gimmick. So if you say that this is a breaking the rules moment or going against the can you beat them with only this thing, I would wholeheartedly agree with you, because we're using the serpent hunter staff. What is the weapon called? That's the real question. I don't remember what the weapon's called. I need the exact name. The serpent hunter. It was just the serpent hunter. But we're using the serpent hunter to actually fight 𝙨𝙗𝙧𝙚. And yeah, it wasn't too bad. Honestly, I think more of my issue with a lot of these bosses that I was fighting was less in the boss's difficulty and more in my lack of mechanics. I think that's what this run has showed me a lot, because compared to my first run where certain bosses, i.e. like 𝙨𝙗𝙧𝙚, actually genuinely made me mad, right? I didn't get as mad this run, and I was more upset with myself because, as I said at the beginning of this video, like, there's literally moments where I feel like I'm just moving too slow to be able to properly fight said bosses. And at that point, it's just my fault. It's really just my fault at that point. So I really need to work on that for the rest of the playthrough, because I don't know how the hell I'm going to beat the rest of these bosses. I really don't. Like 𝙁𝙗𝙧𝙚, I'm perplexed. You'll hear about it in a second, but 𝙁𝙗𝙧𝙚 is beyond me right now. But now that we have actually beaten 𝙨𝙗𝙧𝙚, we came back, upgraded the weapon just a little bit more, because, you know, now we can get a little bit higher. And we now are going to make our way to Godfrey. Godfrey is basically the Godfrey little clone that you fight first. That isn't the freaking, oh god, that isn't actual Godfrey or Horolo, if you know him by that name. We kind of fought the Draconic, what was his name? The Draconic Tree Sentinel. It went a lot better than I thought, and I didn't cheese him like most people do. More because I don't know how to cheese him like most people do, but we don't talk about that. In the process of getting to Godfrey, we kind of died a few times in some frustrating ways, like this one where I got fucking sniped. But finally we got to Godfrey, and Godfrey, I don't believe he was too bad. Like, there were moments in the Godfrey fight where I was like, yeah, I know I can beat this, but a lot of it just had to do with me just not being scared of him, because I realized in one of my runs, you'll see obviously in the video, that if you're close enough to him, he can't really do shit to you. And like, he literally just swings over your head. So at that point, I kind of just beat him over the head with a stick. And then we made our way to where I am absolutely duped right now. My first run of Elden Ring, I literally beat I literally beat Morgott on my first try. With the Rawdon and the Great Swords, I literally beat Morgott on my first try. The first one. So please tell me why this boss is beating the absolute shit out of me. The Morgott situation right now is so bad that it's gotten to the point now that I don't know what to do with him. So I've decided that I'm going to just go fight another remembrance. This is a remembrance boss that I've never actually fought, but I've been in the area of the boss before, i.e. the mimic tier situation. So what we went, I actually did it the wrong way. I fought the regular ancestor spirit before fighting the remembrance boss. So when I fought the regular ancestor spirit, I went and activated it. And then when I fought the boss, I was confused because no remembrance popped up. It kind of threw me off. But then I realized, oh shit, there's two of them. I just fought the one that was from Dollar Tree, but in reality, I just need to go fight the one from Walmart. Because at the end of the day, what people said was true. This is probably the easiest remembrance boss in the entirety of the game. But everything that is involved with what comes with the Regal Ancestor Spirit or Regal Ancestor Spirit is amazing. The atmosphere is beautiful, the music is beautiful, and even the boss looks beautiful, but it is absolutely pitiful. It is literally just a deer. We want some venison, man. We want some venison. That's literally all I can say on that part. Alright, I am recording this like a few days after the actual process went down with when it comes to me making the stick video. A few things have now changed, so y'all are going to be hearing this in, I guess you could say, the second half of me actually recording it while I'm still proceeding to get my ass whooped by Morgott. But as far as the rules are concerned, I've changed two things. One, I think I'm now going to beat all 15 of the remembrance bosses, and two, rather than this video being one big concise video, I'm going to split it up into two parts. One being this part which y'all are getting today, and then another one being what'll be the second part of this video that'll come out at a later date, because as I'm speaking now, I still have, I believe it is 6 bosses to beat. Yeah, I think it's 6 more remembrance bosses. But as y'all see, man, Morgott happened again, and it's pain, bro. I don't know how many times in total I died to Morgott, but I never realized that you could summon Malenia for this boss fight. And not Malenia, shit. What's her name? Melina. I called her Malenia. But I never realized you could summon Melina for this boss fight. And since we haven't seen Melina in a long time, I actually decided to summon baby girl, bro. I thought, well, no, she's not dead yet. She doesn't die till after Fire Giant. Y'all will see that in a minute. But we summoned, I keep trying to call her Malenia. We summoned Melina, and obviously things went a little bit easier because when it comes to boss fights, I feel like with being able to have an ally there by your side, it makes life so much easier because they can just snatch the aggro from the boss. You feel me? And her being there alone made the boss fight literally 10 times easier. And then ultimately we ended up beating Morgott. I don't know how the hell on my first run of this game I managed to beat Morgott on my first try. Something had to have changed, but goddamn did that boss work my fucking nerves, bro. We went back to where you're supposed to go after, you know, you beat Morgott, obviously, and we proceeded to make our way to the snowy area of Elden Ring, which ultimately is going to bring us to where we have to get to the Morgott boss fight. Before we actually got to the Morgott boss fight, there were a few things that I intended or needed to stop and get. One of the things is I needed to stop and fight Commander Niall, right? This is to get one of the pieces to get to the haggle tree thingy. It's one of the things for Malenia's medallion to get to Malenia ultimately. I'll show y'all that fight in a minute because god did Commander 𝙈𝙢 beat the hell out of me. I hated that boss for the longest. But the main part of what happened when I first got here, I didn't do it immediately, but I did it after I fought Commander 𝙈𝙢 a bit because I just wasn't doing the damage I felt like I needed to do. So we went to go get Bell Bearing 3, which ultimately allowed us to upgrade our large club to max, I believe, or nearly max. Now for Commander 𝙈𝙢. When I tell you, I spent maybe about 3 hours alone fighting this boss. That's not even a remembrance boss, and the only reason he's important is because there's a piece of a medallion that I need to kill him to be able to get to. I fought this boss for so freaking long, and died over and over and over again. It was beyond frustrating. I think it even got to the point where in fighting him, I said, F it, I'm gonna go to the fire giant. I think I fought FG maybe once, died to FG, and then said, you know what, I can't just go without fighting 𝙈𝙢. So I went back and continued to fight 𝙈𝙢 for another hour after I went to fire giant. And finally, I mean finally, we managed to squeak away a victory against him because god was that boss literally irking my soul. It was so difficult for no reason, just because I refused to dodge simple attacks. I think, as I said in the gold free fight, one of my biggest issues with Elden Ring is my mechanics, and I need to work on that if I intend on doing more runs. But you know, after 𝙈𝙢, obviously we came to fight fire giant, and this is one of the easier remembrance bosses in my opinion. I've heard people say fire giant is difficult, but I've never really experienced said difficulty because I feel like the first phase is literally as simple as it comes. You feel me? But then after the first phase, you get to the second phase where you kind of just have to get what you can get, because even to this day, after beating him a few times now, and by a few times I only mean 2, you don't really know what's completely coming in the second phase, because even now I still don't know all of his attacks, which is like a strangely, I don't know if the word's exhilarating feeling, but it's a very terrifying feeling, because I remember my first run, I literally died because the man like laid on me. I think it was the roll, but I'm not sure. But yeah, we beat fire giant, and then we let baby girl set herself on fire. It had to be done, and then we woke up and we were in the realm of the dragons. Now at this point, we went back to the round table hold, and I got what's his name, the twins armor set. I wear this for a majority of the run, well, the majority of the end half of this run. But now that we're in this portion of the map, y'all know who's coming next. Well, at least the 2 main bosses that are coming next. It is both the Dragon Lord and 𝙈𝙢. But before we can get to either of them, we have to visit our friends that aren't our friends, 𝙈𝙚 and the freaking Apostle, the God Skin duo. The only reason, and I mean the only reason, I hate this boss is because of the freaking noble. The noble is beyond annoying. The only reason why I hate this boss is because the noble is beyond annoying, and honestly, I never like fighting him, but it wasn't too bad, honestly. We beat the Godskin duo pretty quickly and proceeded to start to make our way to actual 𝙈𝙢. Now, with this situation, I didn't know who I wanted to fight first. So of the 2 bosses, the one I tried first was the Dragon Lord. The Dragon Lord, I gave him 1 run because I had absolutely no idea what to expect from this boss, and I was killed because I didn't know how his lightning attack worked. We'll revisit him really shortly because he wasn't too difficult. I wish I just took the time to actually pay attention to that when I fought him the first time, because then I wouldn't have stressed myself out with 𝙈𝙢. We ran past the horse and proceeded to our friendly neighborhood anime boy 𝙈𝙢, who is currently the Beast Clergyman. The Beast Clergyman part, or the first half of 𝙈𝙢, is extremely easy, but I faced the same issue this run that I did my first run, is you can get past the first phase rather easily, but when it comes to 𝙈𝙢's second phase, I never actually got the chance to learn everything that he does, because my first run through with Malekith, the only reason I beat him is because I had a really good run on his second phase, and it was one good run where I did exceptional damage. It's the only reason, literal only reason why I managed to beat him. I got so close on one run, ended up dying to him, and then kind of realized that I was now in a situation where I am absolutely stuck at Malekith. Just for a minute, because I didn't think I'd be stuck forever, but boy was I stuck long enough. And me being stuck long enough was an issue. But it is what it is, because eventually we beat him. Now it hasn't happened yet, and I won't show y'all just yet. I know y'all are at this point with what y'all are seeing now, I have a completely different weapon. Now, I will just inform you that what happened with me acquiring this weapon is in me doing research. I stumbled upon the fact that there is literally a great club in the game, and why'd I never get it? So at some point between the span of my last recording session and this recording session, in which I am fighting Malekith still, I went and I acquired the great club and I upgraded the weapon, obviously, because it's a lot better. And I mean a lot better than the large club. Like, I feel like it suffers from the lack of speed, which I think all club weapons suffer from, but it's actually a lot better than the freaking than the large club. And I love the fact that it is, even though it's not the weapon that we end up beating Malekith with, because ultimately, as y'all can see now, we beat Malekith with the large club. I don't know. I really don't know how to differentiate what club is the more ideal of the two that I've been using. Because the large club is really good, but the great club is also just as good, if not better. And then I think I haven't given the spike club a fair chance, because I might do that in the second half of this whole little thing. But other than that, I don't really know. Next off, we got the Crimson Amber Medallion +2, just to give ourselves a little bit more health. Now it was time to focus on Sir Dragon Lord. Now, I'm going into this fight with little to no knowledge of the Dragon Lord, so I really just had to, I guess you could say, get acquainted with some of his attacks, i.e. why I died to stuff like the explosion, or got hit by things like the explosion so much, because I literally didn't realize what that move was. But truthfully, the Dragon Lord's kinda easy, you know? Like, when you really learn his patterns and learn the attacks that he does, almost every single move that the Dragon Lord does, he leaves himself open, which makes him a really easy boss fight, which is why I'm not going to leave too much time or have too much time on him in the first place. But ultimately, we end up beating the Dragon Lord. He wasn't that bad. So now, if you're reading at this point, we only have 6 bosses left to beat. Now that I'm on the way to Gideon currently, we have Horolo to beat, we have Melania, we have Elden Beast / Radagon, we have Estelle, we have the Lich Dragon, and we have Mohg. Mohg I have to look up. Estelle, I believe, is the end of Ranni's quest line, and then I think the Lich Dragon is something I can fight based off having an item for Ranni's quest line. I really don't know with those 2 bosses, but I'm gonna figure it out ultimately. Okay, so we're gonna do all 15 remembrance bosses. Hopefully, don't quote me just yet, but hopefully we will, because I kind of just want to fight those bosses just so I can get that little bit of experience with them. You feel me? Moving on, we arrived to Sir Gideon, and I thought Gideon was going to be a lot easier than I hoped. Gideon is the most aggressive magic using motherfucker I have seen in my life, and I don't know what to do against him right now. I literally even went to the process of changing up my armor set just to try to be a little bit safer when it came to Gideon. I'm using my ability Golden Land, which, as I said at the beginning of the video, I'm allowed to change the Ash of War, and this is the Great Club's baked in Ash of War, so leave it alone. But I don't know what to do with Gideon right now. I know I can beat Gideon, but the amount of damage that Gideon puts out at one moment is literally ridiculous, and I just don't know how to compensate for, I guess you could call it, the damage dealt by magic, because it's almost like, it feels like I have no protections when it comes to magic damage, and he just hurts so much. Like, he hurts so freaking much. But unfortunately, boys, that is going to wrap up part 1 of Can You Beat Elden Ring with a Stick. But unfortunately, boys, that's going to wrap up part 1 of Can You Beat Elden Ring with a Stick. If you enjoyed this first portion of this playthrough, make sure you go down below, like the video, comment whatever you comment down below, or comment some tips that I can maybe use in the second portion, because I am still currently playing through the second portion. And considering Horolow, Radagon, and Melania are all boss fights where it's 2 full health bars, I'm gonna need as much help as I can, because I don't want to fold and use Mimic Tear. I really don't. But I will fold on them and use Mimic Tear. But your boy Hoodie out. Peace. I really do hope you guys enjoyed. Damn, shit got my toes. Alright, we're done for right now.
Nah.